Welcome into a special post-game edition of the Acadiana post-game high school football forecast. The playoffs are officially here. Before we dive into our first round matchups, let's go back and highlight some studs from the regular season finale. We'll start off Players of the Week with LCA's Zach Clement. Not only was he the winner of our Twitter poll this week, he's carried the Knights to the best record in their program's history. Each week, Zach puts up about 300 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns, so I was glad to see the people stood up and voted for him this week. Moving on, we have Brontre Griffin from Highland Baptist. For the second straight week, Brontre went over 300 yards and 6 total touchdowns, including a 77-yard kick return. The crazy part is, he rushed for 306 yards on 13 carries. That's almost 24 yards per touch. Brontre is an absolute animal, and Highland is feeding him the rock. They'll be faced up with Ascension Episcopal in the first round. It'll be the Blue Gators' job to try to slow him down. Last but not least, we have St. Martinville High running back Trey Benjamin. Trey went off for 248 yards and 5 touchdowns in a double overtime victory over Cecilia in the Battle on the Bayou. On to the playoffs for Trey and St. Martinville, and speaking of the playoffs, let's get into our first round matchups. For game number 1, throw the seeding to the side. You have LCA versus Central Catholic in the first round of the Division IV playoffs. The biggest bummer is, one of those teams is going to have to go home in the first round because both of them are good enough to make a deep run in the playoffs. LCA got the better of Central Catholic back in Week 4 with a 46-42 narrow victory. This time around, though, they're facing a Central Catholic team that is looking for revenge for several reasons. They feel like they were robbed in Week 10 of the regular season against Ascension Episcopal, and they're carrying a huge chip on their shoulder after being handed the 12 seed. This might be one of the best games in all of the playoffs in the first round, so like I said, throw those seeds straight out the window. May the best man win at Knight Field. Coming up next, matchup number 2. Every year, the Acadiana Wreckin' Rams are trouble in the Class 5A bracket. This time around, they're the number 14 seed, and they host Alexandria at home in Bill Dotson Stadium. Remember, the Rams would have absolutely been a top 10 seed if the LHSAA didn't strip a win from them, and the Wreckin' Rams haven't lost a game since Week 3. They've improved every single game, and they're looking scary. Alexandria comes in with a 6-4 record, but they're going to have to stop the Veer machine, which they probably have never seen before. Yeah, good luck with that, Alexandria. Acadiana is not only good, they're angry. Heading up into our last matchup, we have another huge one, only separated by 1 seed. As soon as the Class 3A brackets were released, I circled Eunice versus Erath. Eunice is the 16 seed, which means they'll get to host this one at home versus number 17 Erath. Both teams come in with identical 7-3 records, and Eunice has 2 big wins on the season over St. Martinville and Church Point. Erath is of course fueled by future Ragin' Cajun running back Elijah Mitchell. The Elijah Mitchell show has racked up over 2,000 total yards on the season, and they're going to try to make sure this is not his last game wearing their blue jersey. Of course, you can listen to a couple of these games. Eunice versus Erath will be on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. You can listen to Brobridge versus Plaquemine in your St. Martin Parish Game of the Week on Planet Radio 105.1. You'll have the Acadiana Wreckin' Rams taking on Alexandria on ESPN 1420, and the undefeated Ascension Episcopal Blue Gators will host Highland Baptist at home on Talk Radio 960. And always, remember, high school football lives at AcadianaPostgame.com.